Welcome back to another episode of the 4Expedition Gear Guide. This episode is brought to you by Rock Pals, Northwest Overland, Black Label Garage, and by our 4Expedition Patreon supporters. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 4Expedition Gear Guide. I'm Scott Leuthold. Today I'm really excited to be talking with you because I'm going to be doing some upgrades on the 4Expedition Subaru Outback 3.6R Overland Road Warrior. And first and foremost, I'm going to be installing a Prinsu Design Studio Performance Roof Rack, which is made by CBI Offroad Fabrication. And as many of you know, if you watch this channel, I'm not all that thrilled with the factory rails that come on the roof of the Subaru Outback, so I'm going to be removing those plastic rails altogether and then pulling out the ceiling panel, putting the Prinsu Designs rack on the top, and then putting the ceiling panel back in, and I'll show you how that's all done. Once I'm completed with that install, then I'm going to be installing my brand new iCamper SkyCamp Mini, which is a two-person rooftop tent. And because it's a two-person rather than the four-person that I have now, it's got a much smaller footprint. And because it has a much smaller footprint, I'm going to push it to the back of the Prinsu Designs rack, which opens up a little bit of room in the front, which is where I'm going to now mount my Maxtrax. Once that's all done, I've got a whole set of LED lights coming from Heretic Studio, and I'll be replacing all of the LED lights on my Subaru. So if you're really interested in seeing how this all turns out, please sit back and enjoy the ride. All right, so right now I'm coming to you from my garage in Central Phoenix, and something really interesting to share with you is the fact that this is the last time I will ever be in this garage, and that's because I bought myself a home up in Carefree, Arizona, which is located in the northern part of the valley here. And if you've never been to Carefree or the adjacent town of Cave Creek, I recommend you check them out. They're really great small towns, a lot of cool things happening there, and it's right at the base of a mountain range, so there's a lot of wonderful adventure to be had right out the back door, so I'm really looking forward to that. So later on this afternoon, I have my good friend Matt Wells coming over from Black Label Garage. He's going to help me do the install of this Prinsu rack. So before he gets here, I'm going to get it all assembled and laid out, and then when he gets here, we're going to tear out the ceiling panel, run some wiring for the LEDs, put in this Prinsu rack, and once the Prinsu rack's installed, I'm going to have him help me put in the iCamper SkyCamp because that takes more than one person. All right, so before I get started on the assembly, I should share the fact that Matt and I have actually decided to partner up and provide upgrade services to off-road vehicles. So what that means is that 4Expedition and Black Label Garage are now partnering up to provide off-road upgrades. And so if you have a Subaru Outback, you have a Jeep Rubicon or a Toyota Tacoma or whatever you might have and you want some upgrades done, give me a call and he and I will take care of things and we'll give you lots of great advice. Your car will be well taken care of. Matt's actually got a nice little shop in Central Phoenix. He's done all the upgrades on my Subaru over the last year. And he's actually a master mechanic. He can often be seen taking older vehicles and tearing them completely apart and rebuilding them from the ground up. He's a really great guy, and I promise that if you're interested in having anything done, we'll give you lots of great advice and take care of you. Your car will be well taken care of. So after talking to Mike over at Prinsu, he suggested that when I mount my iCamper SkyCamp, in order to keep the profile really low, I not use their rooftop tent mounting brackets and instead leave a couple of these crossbars out and mount these crossbars to the underside of the SkyCamp first, then set the SkyCamp up here and then basically just bolt the crossbars on. So what's really cool about this rack is that you're able to put the crossbars in a variety of different places. It's up to you to decide how you want them mounted and how far apart. I've actually been talking to Matt. To his suggestion, I was actually going to put the rooftop tent toward the back and put my Maxtrax mounted to the front. His suggestion is actually to put the iCamper mounted to the front and the Maxtrax on the back, and that way it allows the weight distribution on the vehicle to be more centered, and it'll cause less wear and tear on the back of the vehicle. So that's probably what I'm going to go ahead and do. Okay, just to be sure that I'm on the right track, and I'm going to mount the iCamper SkyCamp Mini toward the front per Matt's suggestion to help with weight distribution. And if you look at the specs for the Mini, the rails underneath that you use to mount the tent to the rack are about 56 inches long. And so if I measure out 56 inches, and then I account for a little bit of an overhang all the way to the front of the iCamper, running around 60. I also want to make sure that I mount the rooftop tent back behind the wind deflector. So if I run that to about 60, looks like I might have about a foot on the back end, and I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be enough to hold the max tracks or not, but we'll have to see. So I'm not going to tighten these all the way down until I know exactly where I want to have these crossbars, and I'm only going to know that once I get them all the way on. All right, so now we're working on the fairing. We've got these screws here, and I've got a little backing plate. I'm putting the screw in the front, and I'm putting the backing plate on the back, but I'm only threading it a little bit because I'm gonna have to slide this on to the crossbar on the front. All right, everybody, this is Matt from Black Label Garage. He's now arrived here to help me install the rack. I got it all fully assembled, so we're gonna get started.
All right, everyone, so Prinsu recommends a couple of tools when you're taking down your headliner. There's obviously you can use your garage tools, but the big ones I would recommend are these body panel pieces. You can get them pretty much anywhere. AutoZone, Napa, Harbor Freight is pretty much where we got these. The reason you want to use these is they're plastic, essentially. They're not going to scratch up your interior and destroy everything like a flathead screwdriver would. If you can't find these, you can use the flathead, just be careful. The other option is a riveter. These ones, this is a normal rivet tip, but we can put the threaded tip in here and it'll compress the nut bolts, which I'll show you later here. And that allows you to compress it easier than trying to do it with a nut and a wrench, just to save some time. These are only about 20 bucks over at Harbor Freight as well.
Yeah.
That's nice. Covers up the screw. Looks like it's just a Phillips in there.
It's a bugger in there.
Yeah, because once you
now you can pull that top out.
Yeah, once you get it loose, it re-clips these bottom.
There you go. There you go.
There are these little clips right there. If you can use your tool to push down on the pin, it'll help you obviously separate the two pieces. Okay. You have to do that on each side, and that's what will pull it apart so that you can have access. Okay. Makes things complicated. Right.
Much better off.
Yeah.
And those, you're just popping out plastic.
Yep.
Pegs.
That's all they are. Just little dome pegs that fit into a hole. They're not gonna be useless after this pull out. They'll just pop right back in once you're done.
Okay, cool.
This is a different peg. When it's in, it's fully compressed, and that's what spreads this, I guess, fins out to hold it in the hole. All you need to do is just use a flat edge and pry in there and pull it out. Just don't lose them. They like to fall out of the hole, and then.
Okay.
But they're cheap if you do. You can get a box of them for a couple of bucks. They're not that expensive.
Where do you get them?
Any AutoZone.
Okay.
Typical automotive part. They'll sell them pretty cheap. It takes forever because you don't want to break the pieces.
Yeah.
And they're wedged in there pretty tight so that they stay up.
Yeah, and they don't rattle when you're
Driving up and down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Chihuahua.
This one has an airbag in it. Sometimes the airbags are connected to this and the cord's very short, so you don't want to just yank on it and unplug everything and have massive errors. Nicely, they offer a full list of instructions on how to take this off step by step and just follow the instructions. It's really simple. Just use the tools that we recommend and you'll be able to do this pretty quickly.
I think there's a lot of people that would like to do this, but they don't have the guts to tear apart the roof of their vehicle, the ceiling.
It's always nerve-wracking, especially if it's something you've never done. But the truth is, it's really straightforward.
Yeah.
A machine has to put this together pretty quickly for you, so it's not a complicated process. Just take your time, follow simple instructions. YouTube is a wonderful source for information. You can pretty much do anything you need. There we go. All right. So this piece we're not going to completely take off.
Okay.
Because it's got clips all the way down, and all we're trying to do is get access to this, so I don't need to completely remove the piece.
Gotcha.
Just get it out of the way. So these are kind of unique. Typically you pull off the cap and there's a Phillips behind there. These ones, there's an upper clip up here. You need to pull that clip towards you and then pry up from the bottom simultaneously.
Okay.
These things are invaluable. They're like $2-3, so don't forget to get these.
What are those called?
They're just called needles.
Needles. Where do you get those? Same place?
Same place, yeah.
AutoZone, Harbor Freight.
Anything like that. They're really cheap. They bend really easy, but for little tasks like this, they're invaluable.
Needles.
Needles. Or needle tips.
Needle tips, okay.
I think you called everything.
So you push one down.
Pull the top clip towards you and then push up from the bottom. There you go.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then just take it off and put it down here.
Yes, sir. I never had one do that before. It's kind of nice.
What's that?
With just the slide off clips like that. Usually you pop off a cap and there's a Phillips there.
Oh, there you go. Nice. A piece of glass.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, my sunroof shattered
Oh, wow.
about a year ago. I had my rooftop tent on, and a rock flew up from the road, ricocheted off the underside of the rooftop tent, and came down and shattered my sunroof, and glass went everywhere.
Well, now you have that shield on the front of your rack.
Yeah, that's right. So now with the Prinsu rack, it has the wind deflector fairing. It's going to blow anything that hits the front. It's going to bounce up over. And if I keep the rooftop tent low profile enough to that, it'll just go right over the top of everything.
This is a better all the way around fix.
Exactly. So those aren't screwed on there; they're just popped in.
Yeah. Oop. There's a little clip you have to push, and that'll release it.
Oh, I see. You push in the clip. I see.
So it just squeezes on both sides and pulls out.
Got it.
There you go.
Yeah, you gotta be really careful with that.
Jeez. This just pops on. It's really simple. But
Oh yeah.
you can crack it pretty easy.
So really easy to bust that in half.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's just screwed up there with Phillips.
Yep, that's it.
It's got electrical going to the
Right.
lit up mirror.
Yep.
Yep.
So this should be pretty straightforward. Just another push pin.
There you go.
Yep. Just pull down, nice and soft.
Pull down.
There you go. That's it.
All right. Cool.
Yep.
Oh, that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Got the rear dome, the mid dome, and then we've got the spotlights in the front catapop.
That's it. And then this whole thing comes out.
And just drag out the whole ceiling panel.
Bit of grass. I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it.
Last but not least, refer to the instructions.
Please.
Thank you, Prinsu, for putting together some really great visuals with these
Specifically
instructions.
for this vehicle too.
Very nice. Step by step with photos. Full instruction.
Alright, so you just gotta use a crap ton of fingers.
Wow!
Jeez.
Holy crap! There it is.
That one took a little effort. Jeez.
That was a little scary.
Yeah. I did not want to tear that up. Alright, let's unplug this thing instead of letting it hang.
We had a little bit of trouble trying to figure out how to get this off. The instructions from Prinsu didn't really include a Subaru with eyesight, so we had to get on YouTube. And fortunately, one of my fellow YouTube content creators made some footage for us, and it helped us figure it out.
Thank God.
Thank God. Sun's going down.
Wasn't interested in breaking things.
No. All right, so we got that pulled out. Now it's just a matter of going around and popping all the clips.
Softly. Very, very softly. All right. Well, we got pretty good access.
You want to come and do this one?
Yeah, I'll do that.
All right.
Your roof.
Do you think we need to take it out, or can we leave it in there?
I think we should leave it in just because all this wiring is glued down from the sunroof system, and I'd hate to, you know, remove that and have it rattle around later on.
Yeah. So these are the old landing pads that I use with the Yakima, and those are just mounted to existing threaded holes on the Subaru factory rack. We'll take those off. So we had to lower the sunroof actuator in order to get to this last bolt on either side. So if you're having a hard time getting a bolt off, don't recommend using pliers, but being that we're not reusing these bolts and Prinsu provided new bolts.
Yeah, pliers and bolts is blasphemous. Do not use pliers and bolts. All right.
Boom. Done. All right, now we can just drive off, right? You're finished? I'm gonna have to sit really low in the car though. Oh, there's a little bit of room under there. Woohoo!
Finally.
Look at that. God, I hate those things.
Big pieces of plastic. So all you're doing is you're taking the front pieces that were in the trim here, and you're cutting essentially this tail piece off by just clipping. It just goes straight through. It's a little hoop. So you're just clipping that off.
And you're clipping it wide to keep the other piece?
Yeah, because this is going to bolt. Essentially.
Yep, so that bottom piece came from Prinsu, top piece is factory.
And it'll fit in the gutter.
Put in the gutter for, okay, got it. So after we got the rails off, I wiped this all out, cleaned it up a little bit, but you'll see here's the factory holes. And this is a really very deep rain gutter. And we were talking about it, I had a little concern about capturing a lot of water here. The good news is when you come back here, it runs underneath the back tailgate door, and it runs into this groove here and runs all the way out and down out onto the bumper. So it won't get inside the car in the back. We are a little concerned about the front, because in the front, the rain gutter comes up here and it stops right against the windshield. And there's a little bit of a rubber here, rubber gasket, and there is a kind of a side area here where some of the water can run out, but we're concerned about a little bit of the water capturing in here and eventually possibly leaking in. So we're going to silicone that, and then once we get the roof rack put on, I'm going to come back and fill the gaps with a rubberized, thick rubberized tape.
3/8 bit. It's not far off. It's not going to need much. It's just a little bit of rounding out.
Okay.
After getting heavily wounded by the last model, don't buy the cheap people stuff. Just pony up and buy the nice stuff. We went out and got another one. Just a couple bucks more. Harbor Freight gives you warranty on everything. So if it's broken, just go get another one.
What is it?
It's the Rivet Nut Smasher. So we'll be threading this on inside the little holes that are there, and then it'll smash it and bring it compact. It'll compress this piece against the roof of the car.
Cool.
Stick it in the hole. Squeeze
down. This is called a plus nut in the directions. And it folds up and
now it's
grabs to the bottom.
So all we're gonna do now is unwind it. It's crimped between the metal and now your normal nut. Thread in.
So that puts a threaded nut in there. It cinches it down to the top and the bottom.
Right.
You put your bolt in there. And
so you got
screws right down.
Permanent bolt in essentially, and now you get to just bolt something to it without having to put a bolt underneath or weld in a nut. It just makes things a lot easier.
Yeah, cool.
Where's the hole? There's the hole. A little bit farther back. There we go.
Okay.
All right. So above the rack loop, meaning above the bracket, you're gonna have the bolt. It needs to go through a lock washer first, the big washer, and then below the bracket for the actual roof rack, the spacer will go in, and that'll bolt straight into the threaded nut.
Is the spacer designed to fill up the gutter space?
Exactly.
Got it.
Now you do want to put your caulking or silicone right here at the bottom so that it keeps the water out. That's about it.
Okay.
What we'll do is cut the tip off the silicone bottle at an angle, and then we'll just butter the bottom of the spacer and stick it over the hole. And then that way we can set the rack down on those spots, just drive everything through.
Okay, cool.
I got the bottom covered up in silicone, just around the loop. It's kind of messy, but it'll be just fine. We're just gonna line it up with the hole. Just kind of put it in place. I'm gonna follow suit on the next 3, and then we'll put the bolt through just to kind of get everything lined up.
Got it. Yep. On there pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't think that's going anywhere.
There we go. It wasn't that easy of a job.
No, got blood blisters. I think there's a few things that we could recommend to get fixed a little better.
Yeah, we're gonna make a few recommendations to Prinsu about different things that we found that kind of pose problems, minor issues.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of the goal here is to help the company to improve on the installation and so forth. Looks pretty good. It's low profile. It's very strong. It's certainly a lot stronger than the factory
Plastic stuff that you had, it was already warping and bending off of the body. It was flexing too much.
Yeah.
This is going to be rigid and low profile. That's the best part.
Yep. Well, we're nearing completion. Putting the ceiling panel all back in. It's a little bit of a job. Especially when pieces fall out and end up stuck up in the ceiling panel. You got to pull the ceiling panel back out and get them.
Or under the seat.
Huh?
Or
under the seat. Oh man. Yeah, you don't want your screws to fall into the seat. All right, so Matt and I finished up late last night. We decided to get up this morning and do a reveal and a debriefing of the good, the bad, and the ugly of installing a Prinsu Design Studio performance roof rack on your Subaru Outback. All right, so let's talk just a little bit about your first impression of the Prinsu rack itself. What's your take on it?
I actually think the rack is quite nice. It's very lightweight. It's extremely rigid and sturdy. I love the fabrication of the inner bars. Those uses, NASA developed that kind of framing. So it's extremely strong, extremely lightweight, and it'll be able to handle the weight that you're looking for.
Yeah, it's very rigid. I've been driving around this morning, since we did the install, and no squawking or squeaking or tweaking or anything. It's just it's super strong. It also seems like it's a lower profile than the original front to back rails that were on the Outback.
How's the wind noise on it?
No wind noise whatsoever.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I haven't opened the sunroof yet, and I know those crossbars might actually cause a little bit of wind. There's a crossbar just above the sunroof,
Right.
so that might make a little bit of noise.
Maybe a little.
But I'm also adding the heretic LED lights on the front, so those stick up a little bit above the wind deflector.
Perfect.
So that might also influence the wind noise.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's extremely well constructed. I think it's a nice piece, especially offering the lower profile compared to the stock racks, those big plastic things that you had on it prior.
Yeah. No, it's in there permanently.
Yeah. There's no taking that out right now.
So let's talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the ugly. It was a long process. How many hours do you think we took? Maybe 5 hours?
Yeah, 5.5 hours to get everything
hours,
done.
yeah.
And that was both of us messing with it.
That was 2 people. I really feel like it was beneficial to have a friend helping out. You can't. I mean, doing this yourself, I've seen people doing these racks themselves, and and it can be done. I'm sure you could do it yourself, no problem. But there was a lot to it.
There was, and it makes it just it's more convenient to have somebody else. You're taking off one side, and the other person's copying the other instead of you having to do it twice every single time.
Yeah. Of course, once we've done it once, it would get quicker and quicker. So
100%.
don't really want to do them all day long.
No.
But if there are people that would like to help installing these, and they live in Arizona, California, Utah, we could certainly help out.
100%. Yeah. Happy to.
Yeah. Did you have any insights on what was provided by Prinsu as far as instructions, as far as hardware, things like that?
So the instructions were really nice. They were detailed little photos. Some of the descriptions could be a little more detailed. Some of them were a little bit vague, unfortunately. But
especially with the eyesight.
Yes.
So the instructions that came with the Prinsu rack that we downloaded from the website did not include that accessory on the Outback.
It did not, and that's different. The one they had was just a stock system, so it didn't pull off the same way. Essentially, it was a bigger, bulkier piece. As far as like materials, the bolts and nuts and everything in that regard are high quality. They're nice grade. The overall bolt length could be a little bit longer, maybe like half a centimeter or so, just make it easier to get into the threading. The lock nuts use flared fingers, and they smash out really wide, but when you're tightening it feels like it's sinking into the roof lining. So I wish that they were solid cylinder lock nuts. So if you have some of your own, I'd use those. The coupler piece that they provide, if you don't have a rivet gun, was a bit long, especially compared to the bolt. So you couldn't get the bolt to touch the threads to pull it in. In the photo, they even show having washers on top of that. So it's just a bit too long.
Yeah. So there's minor issues though.
Just minor little details.
So Prinsu could provide a little bit longer bolts. If you really want to have it grip easily and quickly, just go out and buy some extra long bolts.
Yeah, exactly. They're common thread. They're nothing special there.
Yeah. It's American made.
Yeah,
so we're not in metric. And,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Makes life easy.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this edition of the Forexpedition Gear Guide. I appreciate you tuning in. If you'd like to learn more about the Prinsu Design Studio Performance Roof Rack, be sure to click the link in the description below. And encourage you to subscribe to Forexpedition. And if you'd like to be notified of upcoming videos, be sure to click the notification button. And as always, if you'd like to support Forexpedition, go to patreon.com/Forexpedition. Your support goes a long way to creating quality content for this channel. Until the next time, take care.